remember the exact second my heart stopped. I'd come back early from my dress fitting because the seamstress was sick. The apartment was quiet except for a low murmur from our bedroom. I smiled, thinking Ethan had fallen asleep watching pre wedding videos on his laptop. I pushed the door open gently, ready to crawl in beside him and steal a lazy afternoon nap like we used to. Instead, I saw them. My maid of honor, Sarah, my best friend since we were 11, naked on top of my fiancé, her head thrown back, his hands gripping her hips exactly the way he used to grip mine. The sound that came out of me wasn't human. They froze. Sarah turned first, eyes wide with horror, then scrambled for the sheet. Ethan sat up, mouth open, saying my name like it was a question. Mia? The room spun. I backed out, slammed the door so hard the hinges screamed, and ran. I don't know how I got downstairs. I just remember the cold October air hitting my face and the taste of metal in my mouth. Sarah and I had planned every detail of this wedding together. Picked the venue, tasted the cake, chosen the stupid peach roses because they were our color when we were kids. Ethan had been my safe place for 6 years. And in one heartbeat, they'd both become strangers. I didn't answer their calls for 3 days. I stayed at a hotel, stared at the engagement ring until my eyes burned, and tried to understand how the two people I loved most on earth could do this to me. Guilt kept creeping in. Was I too stressed about the wedding? Had I been neglecting him? Had I missed signs with Sarah? We told each other everything. Everything. When I finally went home, Ethan was on the couch looking like he hadn't slept. He started crying the second he saw me. Said it was a mistake, alcohol, cold feet, anything he could grab. Sarah sent a novel-length text apologizing, saying she'd always been secretly in love with him, and the wedding pressure made her act out. I laughed until I threw up. Act out? Like a toddler? I called off the wedding that week. Deposits lost, invitations already mailed, my mother crying on the phone. I told myself that was the worst of it. I was wrong. The first twist came 2 weeks later. I was at the OBGYN for my annual exam. Routine, nothing special. When the doctor congratulated me, I thought she was joking until she turned the screen. 8 weeks pregnant. Ethan's baby. The timing lined up perfectly with the night he'd surprised me with candles and one last wild night before the wedding. I sat in the parking lot sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. A child. Our child. And now I'd be raising it alone because the father was sleeping with my best friend. I didn't tell him at first. I needed to feel the ground under my feet before I handed him that power. But secrets rot fast. He showed up at my door, desperate, begging for another chance. I was so tired, so sick, so scared that I let him in. We cried together. He promised the affair was over, that Sarah meant nothing, that he wanted to be a family. Against every instinct screaming in my chest, I let him stay. For 4 months we pretended. He came with me to ultrasounds, held my hair when morning sickness hit, painted the nursery the soft yellow we'd chosen together. I started to hope. Maybe this baby could glue the pieces back. Maybe love really could survive anything. Then the second twist detonated everything. I came home early from a prenatal appointment, again, and heard voices in the kitchen. Sarah's voice. I froze in the hallway, hidden by the corner. She was crying. Ethan's low murmur answering. I peeked around. He had his arms around her head on his chest exactly like it used to be on mine. And then she said it. I'm 10 weeks. Ethan, it's yours. We have to tell her. 10 weeks. That put conception right in the middle of our reconciliation. The same month he was rubbing cocoa butter on my stretch marks and whispering that he'd never hurt me again. I walked in. The silence was deafening. Sarah's face went white. Ethan stepped forward, hands out like I was a wild animal. Mia, I can explain. You can't, I said, and my voice didn't even shake. You really, really can't. I told them both to get out. Sarah tried to touch my arm. I flinched so hard she dropped her hand like I'd burned her. Ethan begged on his knees, actually on his knees, promising he'd choose me and our baby. I looked at the man I was supposed to marry in 3 months and felt nothing but ice. They left. I locked the door, sank to the kitchen floor, and stayed there until the streetlights came on. 2 babies on the way. 2 betrayals from the same 2 people. 1 heart completely shattered. The climax came the next morning when I found the note Sarah had slid under the door. A sonogram photo and a letter begging me to let Ethan be part of both children's lives for their sake. I tore it into confetti and let it fall like snow over the kitchen tiles. Now, I'm 7 months pregnant, living in the apartment we were supposed to start our marriage in. The nursery is finished, but there are two cribs side by side, one for my daughter, one empty because I can't bring myself to pack it away yet. Some nights I sit between them and wonder how friendship and love can curdle so completely into this kind of cruelty. I haven't decided if I'll put Ethan on the birth certificate. I haven't decided if I'll ever speak to Sarah again. I haven't decided if I'm strong enough to raise this little girl without hating the half of her that came from him. If you were me, if your best friend and your fiancé destroyed everything, then both got pregnant at the same time by the same man, what would you do? Would you keep him in your child's life so she knows her father? Would you disappear and start over where no one knows the story? Or would you make sure they never forget the pain they caused? Please tell me. I'm so tired of carrying this alone.